Hello everyone, welcome back to the HM show. Today we'll be diving into a topic which is close to hearts of millions of Indian families. Should we be raising our kids to migrate abroad? So let's have a look at this aspiration typical Indian family today has. Let's understand what are the factors which drive this trend to study abroad. So there has been three factors which we feel which are the reasons for driving this kind of a trend. First being economics, second social conformity, and third is poor standard of higher education in India. So let's start with the first factor, which is economics. In 1947, India got its freedom from Britain, and the then ruling party, Congress, and its leader, Prime Minister Nehru, they adopted a socialist command economy model for the country. Command economy is an economy wherein means of production and distribution of goods and services are controlled by the government. Basically, the government thinks that common citizens do not have enough acumen to decide what and how much to produce. Now, this model had a devastating impact on the entire economy. So, we will now see what this model did to the country. This is a chart of economic growth from 1947 to 2025. You can see that almost for 50 years, the country never grew. We had a growth rate of 2.5-3%, not more than that. It's only in last 20 years in 21st century that we started growing and we acquired some pace, and last 15-20 years we have grown, and we have had a steady growth above 6%. Now the results of this kind of a growth rate was is that while our neighbors, especially in the north, which is China, and in west, southeast, and East Asia, they all grew, they became rich and prosperous. We were left poor and distraught. So let's move to the second factor, which is social conformity. What exactly is social conformity? We define it as a phenomena wherein whatever the leaders do, the masses also follow. So, for example, when India was being ruled by British, the entire bureaucracy was filled by people who had education in Britain. So we had an examination called ICS, Indian Civil Services, which basically ensured that all the districts in the country, they got a collector. And this gentleman, apparently, he you would have had his education from Britain. Now, for a common person in any place of the country, the collector, was the most powerful person he could look up to. And something like that, which happened for almost so many years under British occupation, that people always knew they have one ticket for forward growth, which is to study abroad. They also saw their leaders, almost all the leaders who were something important and who became the ruling elite after British left. They all had their education in Britain or in different countries of the West. Now, this is what the commoner, the masses also try to ape. They thought that if everybody is getting education in West and they're becoming important, then it must be good. So we have put in a small presentation which shows the leaders, Indian leaders, and their education. So we have Prime Minister Nehru, who was educated in England, Netaji, again England, M.K. Gandhi, again England, Indira Gandhi, again England, MMS, again England, and Dr. Ambedkar, who studied in US. So practically, you see the entire elite of India, they had their education in the West, and this had a domino impact on the population. They also wanted to go and study in the West. Now, the third factor, which is the elephant in the room, is that Indian standard, especially of the higher education, was simply bad. So we had slew of colleges who were producing graduates on a curriculum which was not in sync with industry, and hence these colleges were producing graduates whom nobody wanted. They were simply unemployable. I know you will say that we have had great institutions like IIT, Indian Institute of Science, AIMS, IIMS, etc. Yes, we have had these great institutions as well, along with hundreds of colleges which were ranked bad. But the problem with these very few elite colleges was such that they have had minuscule impact on the entire population. So we had a large number of people who wanted to get good education, and these colleges were so small in number that they simply cater to only 5% of the population. So I'll give an example. In 1995-96, the total number of seats made available by IITs was around about 2000, and the population of the country was 1 billion. Even for those 2000 seats, 1.5 to 2 million people were appearing for examination. So if we take into factor tier 2, tier 3 colleges also put together, they were giving only 100,000 to 200,000 seats. Means almost 90% of the people who wanted to get a technical education could not get. So they had to settle for tier 3, tier 4 colleges, and maybe non STEM courses where after graduation they had no option but to apply for government jobs. So a lot of these people, instead of foregoing their dreams, they decided to move to other countries, anywhere, be it West or earlier in CIS countries, USSR, Australia, wherever they could get their seats, they went. There is this video which shows the mindset of people. There was a gentleman from Australia who has been traveling in India, and he makes it a point to talk to young students to understand what they think about migration and other subjects. So let's have a look at it.
Will you utilize your degree in India, or would you look to go overseas? Or?
Probably out of.
Is there any country in particular you would be attracted to?
Probably UAE, or I'd go to US.
Uh-huh. Would you go there with the idea of moving permanently, or going there for a period of time to make some money and return? In 20 years.
Might be UK or USA.
Oh, you'd like to go overseas?
Of course, of course.
And the America is the place that interests you more, yeah?
Yeah. American or Britain.
Why these Western countries? Are you going to Germany? How exciting! Why are you going to Germany? You're a nurse. And do you see yourself living in Poland, or will you look to go perhaps to Mumbai or somewhere else?
Yeah, we are interested in studying abroad.
So, did you see that? And what do you think? If you ask me, I find it scary. So, you see, practically everybody wants to go out. This is simply not sustainable. We are a country of 1.4 billion people. Whole world, especially the West, they cannot accommodate all of us. So we have to find a way here. If the administrators were watching this, they would have, and if they're serious about it, they would have done something. But I guess because they couldn't do anything, or they didn't want to do anything, they thought it's good to let these people go. Now, if you contrast this situation with that of China, so even Chinese students would flock to Western colleges earlier. I'm talking about 25, 30 years back, till 30 years back. But in last 30 years, what Chinese government did was to ensure that they had sufficient colleges, universities, top rung in their own country. And so whatever number of students who actually went out to the good STEM colleges in America and Europe, they would ensure that they had opportunities to come back and do something meaningful in their country. So they provided that atmosphere to ensure that they did not suffer a brain drain. But in India, somehow this could not be done. So let's see the next situation. Now let's see what happened in West in the same period. For West, the period from 1950s to 2000 was phenomenally good. It has been the period of peace, prosperity, growth like no other in last perhaps 500 years. So while India stagnated, the whole of West, China, Southeast Asia, East Asia, they all grew. They became rich and prosperous. So let's have a look at Indian migrants to the West. So we'll take three test cases: one US, second Canada, and third UK. So let's start with USA first. So USA is a country where a lot of Indians migrated for higher studies in 70s and 80s. So these were mostly students, good students who went for the STEM and medicine courses. They over a period of time after graduating, they joined the jobs there because America, as we discussed earlier, was growing. The economy was booming, and they had a lot of jobs which these Indian students after their graduation they could be employed to. These people, early migrants, they worked hard and they grew up the ranks and they became successful citizens. A lot of them heading different companies, big companies, and they brought in a lot of goodwill name for Indians there. So much so that ethnic Indian group became the richest group in terms of economic wealth in America. Everything was not hunky dory for Indians in the West. A different kind of a brew was brewing in Canada and UK. So let's see that. The government of Canada was worried about declining birth rates in Canada would have led to shortage of labor, and they started pushing for increased migration rates in Canada. They started advertising Canada as a safe, kind, pleasant place to live and start a new life. This is they also marketed themselves as alternative to expensive college education in America. Result of this kind of slick marketing was that a lot of skilled labor they went from India to Canada earlier. I'm talking about 70s, 80s and all. Obviously the population was small, but it was vibrant. In 80s, another important thing happened. Punjab at that point of time in India was reeling under Khalistani disturbance. It was not a great place to be. The economy was shattered. The environment was bad. This led to large number of people from Punjab migrating to Canada. They found Canada to be a better place, a safer place, and a place where they could lead their lives away from all the troubles. So that led to a large number of Indians migrating to Canada. There was another angle also. Some of the politicians in Canada, they made this entire study in Canada and immigrate to Canada as one of the biggest industries in Punjab. Now let's have a look at the third country, UK. So UK was no alien to Indian migrants. As we talked earlier, Indians were, or even 50 years back, they were going to UK for their higher studies. And over a period of time, lot of people of Indian ethnicity had settled there. And in 70s and early 80s, a lot of ethnic Indians from Africa, they went after they were driven out, especially in Uganda, they went to UK and settled there. So the number of Indians had increased there. In 80s, due to deregulation of financial and securities market, London soon became the hub for financial markets in the world. This attracted a lot of skilled labor from across the world and also from India. And soon large number of Indian workers they went there, skilled workers they went there. Over a period of time, lot of people had settled. A large number of white collars they went there, and also the diaspora which had grown over a period of time, they helped to get more of grey collar and blue collar workers from India. In 30 years of 20th century, the number of migrants from India was increasing in all the Western countries. All good things must come to an end. Whatever happened for 50 years from 1950 to 2000 also had to come to an end. In year 2001, September 11 happened. That started a war against terror in Iraq and Afghanistan, which in turn led to rise of Al Qaeda and IS. And these wars devastated the countries of Iraq and Syria. And it led to an influx of huge number of migrants from Middle East to Europe and America, mostly Europe. Also, the troubles in Central and North Africa ensured that there were boatloads of refugees which were landing on the coast of Europe. Initially, Europe took them under their wings. They welcomed the migrants with open arms. They provided them with all possible help which would be given. But the influx of refugees continued. They kept coming in boats after boats. They brought in their own set of challenges for European and UK and American countries. The locals soon were overwhelmed by large number of migrants. They feared loss of culture. The demographic shift was real. These migrants, they brought in lot of disturbance, social unrest, and the crimes of all kinds, from petty theft to assault to rape to murder, they all increased. Soon sentiments of people changed. Initially they were welcoming, then they became indifferent, and finally they became anti-migrant. The same situation happened in US. In US too, because of open gates policy followed by the governments there, successive governments there, large number of people from Central and South America, they flocked to US. That led to tremendous rise of small crimes, petty crimes, smuggling, and drug infusion, and so many other problems related to that in America. They were reeling under the onslaught of illegal aliens. The population started asking for put down on this kind of a migration, and that also simmered in the echelons of power. The political parties, they heard the people, and they decided to act on it. Today, across the entire swath, Europe, in America, in Canada, you see people, they're talking about immigrants. They a lot of riots are happening across the parts of Europe in different countries. So let's have a look at it. So we have some snippets. Let's have a look at it for ourselves. So this is what you're seeing is the recent riots which happened in Spain, mostly against Islamic migrants from North Africa. This happened after the North African migrants, most of them illegals, they beat up a elderly gentleman for no reason. That led to massive protest and fight between groups of illegals and the Spanish citizens. So in a lot of these countries, while citizens are they have risen up, the administration still seems to be helping the migrants. They don't seem to be carrying the sentiments of the people. But change in government, liberal governments across Europe, this behavior of the administration is going to change, as we saw with the election of Trump.
He said military aid must permit take the streets in Spain to show the citizens they are in control. These locals had enough and began chanting in defense of Christianity, saying Spain is Christian, not Muslim. And again, the streets were large protesters gathering to reclaim their country.
So let's have a look at the Trump. This is before he was elected as president. In his election rally, he targets the migrants, the illegal aliens. This elicited a lot of support from public, and they loved his comments, and it helped immensely in his re-election. So let's have a look at it.
Their communities destroyed by this sudden, suffocating inundation of illegal aliens. I said, if you let them in, it's going to be hell. They are vicious, violent criminals. These are stone cold killers that walk into your kitchen, they'll cut your throat. These are people at the highest level of killing. They cut your throat, and they won't even think about it the next morning. These people are roaming our country. They can go into a restaurant, they can do whatever they want, and they will kill you because they are wired that way. These people are animals. Now they'll say, oh, that's a terrible thing for him to say. No. These people are animals.
And we got a lot of bad diseases in our country right now.
They came in from the Congo, they come in from South America, they come in from Asia, they come in from all over the world. These are hardened, horrible criminals, and we have to get them the hell out of our country because they're ruining the fabric of our country. We're just destroying the fabric of life in our country. What they're doing to the fabric, to the guts of our country, it's not even believable. And you see what's going on. You see what's going on. They're taking over towns and cities. They want to flood out Pennsylvania in particular, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and the entire Midwest with thousands of migrants from the most dangerous countries on earth, destroying the character of small towns and leaving local communities in anguish and in despair.
Your state will be a dumping ground for people that have committed murder, violent crimes, drugs.
Medicare and Social Security will buckle and collapse because these people are going onto your Social Security laws, if you can believe it. You can't speak English, they came here illegally, and they're destroying Social Security.
And they're invading our towns. It's an invasion, an executive order to launch the first ever self-deportation program for illegal aliens.
So USA under Trump has been really in thick of action. They have been taking actions to drive out the illegal aliens, and Trump's this measure has been immensely successful. So let's see the next set of reactions and also action from Britain, wherein politicians have started raising this in the parliament, and also the what British media is talking about meted by the Labour government to the illegal aliens.
But given that we're pushing up towards 140,000 that come, I don't think I misused the word. The efforts of the last government to deal with this were frankly pretty pitiful.
So this is Nigel Farage of the Reform Party, which is coming up strongly in opposition to the Conservatives and also the Labour government. So they have had more success, especially on their anti-immigrant policies.
In Scotland, it looks like asylum seekers are about to be given free bus passes again. They obviously all get free hotel accommodation at a cost of around £5 million a day to you, the taxpayer. Some of those hotels are 4-star. In those hotels, they get free heating, their water bills are paid, they get free food and usually a free television as well. So asylum seekers won't pay any bills for a TV licence or anything else, of course. If they're not in a hotel, then they're entitled to a house or a flat, which they also get for free. The government's own website says you'll be given somewhere to live if you need it. This could be in a flat, a house, a hostel, or bed and breakfast. The average rent in London is £2,121 a month, by the way, just for all their contacts there. They get around £50 a week per person, just as spending money. They often get mobile phones and SIM cards, so no real phone bill to them. Legal costs. You pay for that to lodge an asylum application, you pay the salaries of the public sector workers who judge that case, you pay for their numerous appeals, you pay again for the people who decide their appeals. Roughly, about £35 million a year is spent on legal aid, although I think it's quite likely that the true cost is much higher. If they've got kids, Well, of course, you're paying to go to school, aren't you, as well? Healthcare. Illegal migrants can use the NHS. In fact, one of the biggest Stockholm branches was closed.
So you saw how this gentleman, who is a host of GB News, is railing against the illegal aliens, the migrants, and he's not wrong. This is what has been happening. Lot of these illegals, they have been using all the goodwill and measures taken in goodwill by the UK and European governments. They have been abusing it. So if you see the action of people across Europe and America, most of the anger is towards illegal aliens, especially in Europe. They are worried about influx of Islamists, but all immigrants, they have been under scanner, and Indians are also, they have been impacted mostly because of different reasons. In America, they are being targeted because they have been very successful. They are like, they're supposed to be job stealers. They take jobs from whites. In Canada, in UK, there are other reasons. Canada, because of law and order, and in UK, there have been mixed reasons. See, while a lot of hatred towards Indians is because of the changing global atmosphere and sentiments against migrants, but a lot of troubles which are brought in by Indians themselves. Let's have a look at these videos. So you see, this gentleman, apparently an Indian, he's in a swimming pool, public swimming pool, and he's cleaning his backside. Not the place to do that. He could have done it in his bathroom, but he is least concerned and he's least aware of where he is, what he is supposed to do, and what he is doing. So he is clueless. But obviously, rest of the public are watching it and they hate it. The negative acts by one or two individuals, that reflects badly on the entire Indian population. It's generalized. The people who hate others, they will extrapolate all bad actions by any single individual. So while Indians do not indulge in violent crimes, but still, because of hygiene issues and because of these issues, personal issues, they are being targeted in the West. And he walks nonchalantly. It's disgusting. I wouldn't go to a pool like that. So another incident wherein an Indian couple seems to be throwing garbage in a on the side of the road in forest. So they came by a car. They carrying garbage, or maybe it could be food, but 90% of the people, commenters on social media, think that it's garbage, and people are hating all Indians because of that. So just think of it, act of one couple. They, I don't know whether whatever they're doing, but they shouldn't have done it. It's reflecting badly on us, all of us. And this is another case, very strange case wherein this lady, apparently from Mumbai, India, she went all the way to US. She went to a store there and she tried running out with goods of 1200 USD. Just think of it. She travels, she books a flight, goes to US, goes for shopping, and she tries to run away with goods of $1,200. Guys there, they catch her and they send her to police, which in turns, films everything and puts it in YouTube. People are laughing at us because of the action of this stupid lady. Just watch. This is so embarrassing.
It's free and it's cheap. And you can just hold your passport. Promising that nothing is going to happen.
This lady, she was caught trying to snuggle out without paying, and she's blaming the guy who caught her, saying that you promised that nothing will happen. What's wrong with people like? And because of actions of this stupid lady, so all Indians are looked down upon as thieves.
You said that nothing you once you I need you to pull up your passport. I need to see your identification for you.
And then
And then you will be going back to the station with us. I need to see your identification.
please don't take
That's simply not going to happen. You don't get to have that choice anymore. You make lots of poor choices to.
So the sense of entitlement shown by this lady is mind-boggling. Yeah, basically this is what happens in India. I mean, because our law enforcement is so poor that they're able to negotiate through such cases. You do something bad, illegal, break some law, and you negotiate out of, and you think that you can do it across the world. But sorry, a lot of countries, east or west, you will not be coming out unscathed if you do such action. So the net result of that changing global atmosphere, the actions of these stupid Indians, what has happened is the hate towards India has been normalized. So many Western countries are now tightening immigration policies, and unfortunately, discrimination and bias are becoming more visible. This isn't just a political issue, it impacts real lives and real dreams. Now, the question is, do we really want our kids to navigate through this kind of atmosphere? Do we want to send them to a foreign land to suffer, to not only like undergo the pressures of academics, but also live under a situation where anybody and everybody hates you, dislikes you, anybody can take any action against you? If you have not been living under a rock, you would have seen the large number of killings of Indian students in America in last 2 years. So many people of Indian ethnicity have been attacked simply because of the fact they were the Indians, or they sported a brown color on the skin, and it's becoming mainstream, not isolated to the fringes of the society. Mainstream now, to internet, especially X and other media, and you will find that there are hundreds of people, even politicians, even business persons, who openly they're despising, they talk ill about India, about Indians, because of various reasons. As I said, different people hate us because of different reasons. I know, I mean, a lot of these social media handles, they are run by Khalistanis, by Pakistanis, by Bangladeshis, even Chinese. A lot of them are propaganda handles. But a lot of them belong to Western citizens, citizens of US, Europe, UK, and they don't like us. See, good times have passed. When there was environment aplenty, things were good. But in difficult times, when the pie becomes smaller, nobody wants to share. So now, safety is a major concern. Reports of hate crimes against Indians have been alarming. In the meanwhile, so this is India. Let's see. These are our business hubs in different parts of the country, be it Bangalore, Mumbai, Pune, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Indore, Chennai, Gurgaon, Noida. So we are growing. Look at this. In last 20 years, things have improved dramatically in India. The infrastructure has improved. The quality has improved all across. Also, in educational institutions, number of colleges have increased dramatically. Medical colleges, engineering colleges, a lot of technical colleges have come. It's not that we have suddenly transformed 360 degrees, but we have improved a lot. Now, if we contrast this with a situation in West, where migrants are now not being welcome, in fact, there's a fear of body harm. I think it's not prudent to plan our futures there. Now, why not invest in India with top tier institutions, a lot of them with international collaborations and a growing startup ecosystem? Our children can have world class education here without leaving home. Let's have a look at educational institutions here. Some of them have been here since years, they're old, some have come recently. But we do have now. It's not adequate for everybody, but to a large number. So we'll have to change this mindset, and we have to find places where we can accommodate our kids, and with a mix of technical as well as vocational classes, we can have a future here. Let's not forget about the expensive Western education. A lot of people, especially from middle classes, they take a big burden to send their kids abroad. At times, they sell their assets in forms of land, houses to finance their children's education. All this was worthwhile. It was like an investment when kids had the promise of employment. Now, in this kind of environment, wherein you go there, you can be deported, you can be mistreated, you can be harmed, and after spending 4 years or 6 years of your lives, you realize that you don't have a job or promise of employment, or the authorities might ask you to go back home. So what's the point in going there, in planning? So let's plan our futures here. Let's raise our kids as confident citizens rooted in our heritage in India. It's not about closing the doors, it's about making a wise decision, a decision which is in sync with the needs of our times. Please understand, the old times have changed. The world is changing. Look at the spate of wars which is happening across the world. And actually, the worst part is people mostly don't care. Thousands of lives are getting lost every month in Europe, in Middle East. So things are not normal, and in this situation, it's wise that we start thinking differently. We start planning for a better future and in India. So what do you think? Do you think that whatever we have said makes sense? I would love to hear your thoughts. Do you believe studying abroad still makes sense? Comment below, like and subscribe for more thought-provoking content in next video. Thank you.